This story is more about the kid than the parent, but the parent was supporting the behavior so. Our cast. EK. Obvious. EM. Obvious. Me. Super obvious. Neighbors 1 and 2. Two neighborhood kids. Note that the neighbors are actually pretty cool. The EK was just older than them and so had some authority. And so it begins. One summer day last year, I had just turned 14. I was playing some basketball with these two kids from my neighborhood in their driveway. Their family is pretty rich, so they have a fully paved driveway big enough to be a sizable court. It's just me and them for about half an hour until Satan's son himself came over from down the street. This kid is the really stereotypical little crap who made the select soccer team 3 years ago and still thinks that he runs the place. So we let him join the game and everything is fine for a bit. I'm a little bit on the ahem bigger side, but I'm really strong, so I play really well as a center, posting up and that. And the Ek is guarding me and he's getting worked. He's shorter and not as strong, so he's getting dominated. Here's the major incident. I've just grabbed a loose ball and I'm running back toward the basket. The other kid gets back before me and stops my drive, so I start to back him down again. He must have just been really frustrated by him not getting a chance on defense, so he thinks up a plan. At this point, I was wearing a hoodie, and the idiot grabs my hood from behind and pulls as hard as he can. Not expecting my airflow to be cut off, especially while I'm breathing hard, start to panic. I can't shake him off of my back. I don't know how long he's hanging on, but it felt like a whole 45 seconds. That may not seem like that long, but I'm freaking out, so it feels like forever. An eternity later, his grip loosens and I finally get him off. I'm fired up so I punch him right in the nose, definitely not as hard as I could, but it certainly would have hurt a lot. This little crap, however, he drops like he's out cold. Meanwhile, I'm on my knees trying to get my breath back. He's bawling his eyes out, he's rolling and screaming and all that, being the melodramatic idiot that he is, but his mom is running over, and it was that moment when I knew I'm finished. Now, sometime between when he started and when I socked him, his mother came out, but she's the typical I want to speak to the manager white upper middle class mom who volunteers to be the head of the PTA every year and goes to Starbucks 20 times a day, and the EK is very much her son. EM. Oh my god, redacted, are you okay, what did you do to him? Me. He just nearly choked me out so I punched him. EM. Why would you do that, you're so much bigger than him. Me. But he was choking me out. EM. Come on dude, you've got to be more mature about this. Me. What do you expect me to do? Apologize to him for making him choke me? This whole thing goes on for a while until the neighbors step in to try to protect me. And 1. OP really didn't do anything wrong. And 2. Yeah, he didn't even hit him that hard. EM. But OP shouldn't be hitting people in the first place. Especially not my son, yes, she actually said especially not my son. And 2. But it was basically a trade-off, EM. Why are you guys trying to protect him, you should probably go inside, you don't know what you're talking about. They keep trying to help me out, but to no avail. This just goes around for another 5 minutes before EK finally gets up and limps back to his house. I go home cause I'm sick of this crap and I'm tired. The next day, I try to go back over, but the EK is there already. Neither of his parents' cars are there, so I assume that he was staying at the neighbor kid's house until they come back. I decided to go back inside because I don't want to interact with him. A couple of hours later, EK shows up at our door with his mom standing at the gate of our fence. EK. Hi OP, I was just coming over to say sorry for choking you yesterday, I won't ever do it again. Me. Okay, thanks, I'm sorry that I punched you. At this point, my mom comes to see who I'm talking to, and she asks what's going on. EM pipes up and says. EM. We are here for your forgiveness gift. Me. My what? EM. Your forgiveness gift, it's a tradition in our family that the person who apologizes for last has to give the other person something to make up for it. My mom. Excuse me? What's going on? I explain what happened, and as I explain what happened, she seems to get more and more disgusted by the situation. I explain what happened, and as I explain what happened, she seems to get more and more disgusted by the situation. My mom is basically a bomb-sniffing dog for lies, so I can see from her face that she knows that's crap. I turn back to EK. My mom. I'm sorry, but we don't do forgiveness gifts in this family. EM. We do in this one, EK, pick something out. EK looked around and saw my PS4, and he points at it. EK. Mommy, I want that. Keep in mind that this kid is just about a year younger than I am, too old for mommy, and too old for this whole situation in my opinion. EM walks up to our door and sees it's my PS4. EM. Great, we'll take that as our gift. My mom, with steam billowing out of her ears, slams the door in their faces and quickly locks it. They start pounding on the door so hard that it sounds like they are trying to break it down. We leave the door, but they stay there pounding on the door for at least another 5 minutes before finally leaving. I still leave my neighbor's house anytime I see him walking down the block. Forgiveness gifts. Oh my god, this is the worst tidbit of parenting I've heard in a while. I can't believe someone thought of that and then tried to use it in a real-life scenario. I think it would work pretty well in your own home, especially where young, toddler primary school-aged siblings are involved. Gifting a sweet or drink or sharing time with a toy. It's a teaching thing, but taking crap like that outside the home and expecting others to join in is ridiculous. You should have gone over and picked their house as a forgiveness gift. So, the only reason why the entitled parent in this story didn't go to prison was because I was 18 at the time, but the fact that this happened the way it did still pisses me off. So, when I turned 18, I started working at a call center and often walked around the city a lot in order to avoid my toxic mother. Yes, I know what you're thinking, but I was safe and always had a form of self-defense. I was young but not stupid. Anyways, that year, I experienced another growth spurt and went from a C cup to a DD cup, and I was getting a lot of weird looks when in public. As much as I hate to say it, I was pretty young and naive, so I never thought it was because of the way my body changed, but I preferred to keep my distance from people. One day, I decided that I was going to go to Walmart so that I could pick out some yarn for a crochet project I wanted to work on while at work. We were allowed to crochet as long as we didn't avoid the calls that were automatically answered on our systems. While I was checking out the yarn, I noticed a kid who looked like he was 13-14 standing at the end of the aisle watching me. Thanks to my history of getting bullied and beaten up, I immediately grew cautious and started debating if I wanted to get my yarn here or go to the Hobby Lobby across the parking lot. Before I could make a decision, an adult man came up and started leading the son off, so I started to relax and think that I was overreacting. That is until the ED came back. ED. Excuse me, but where did you get your implants? They look so real. Me. Excuse me? I was really embarrassed and shocked, and I was already getting creeper vibes from this guy. ED, your implants. He waves his hands in front of my breasts and gets uncomfortably close to me. Where did you get them? Me. I was at a loss for words and didn't know if he was serious or just being a creep overall. At this moment, the kid came up and poked at my right breast, and I instinctively smacked his hand away, not caring that he was a kid. Me. Excuse me, but you really shouldn't do that, especially to a woman. It's not polite, and it's considered SA and SH. ED immediately got mad at me and started screaming at me to not touch his son. He said that it was my fault and that if I didn't want attention like this, then I should keep my fun bags put away. I was in tears and looking around for an escape, especially since the more the ED yelled at me, the closer he got to me. He started telling me that there was no way my breasts were real and that he needed to feel them to know for sure. He even told me that I needed to let the ES touch them so he could learn the difference between implants and real breasts. Remembering the fact that I had my pepper spray in my bag for any occasion where I needed to defend myself, I usually had a knife too, but that seemed a bit extreme in the heat of the moment. I pulled the can of pepper spray and told them both to step back and get away from me. At this point, an employee turned the corner, having heard us yelling, and saw me holding the pepper spray. He freaked out and called for a manager before coming up and yelling at me, demanding to know what I was doing. Thanks to me being in tears, the ED was able to butt in and started lying to the employee that I was seducing his son and pulled my pepper spray out when the ED had tried to come to his son's rescue. The ES immediately started agreeing with the ED, and the employee was already saying that he was going to call the police, while the ED demanded that me and my big breasts get kicked out of the store. Thankfully, at that second, one of my coworkers, a big burly guy who often gave me a ride at night after hearing that I took the taxi home at night because my mother refused to teach me to drive, rounded the corner, leading a manager right to the mess. The manager demanded that everyone shut up and calm down, and, when he turned to me and asked my side of the story. I told them how the ED insisted that I needed to let them feel my breasts to see if they were real, and how I had already explained I wasn't comfortable and didn't want their attention. The ED backtracked on his story and tried to defend himself and EK, saying it was all for educational purposes, and lied that I had agreed beforehand. This is when my coworker got mad and pointed at the camera at the end of the aisle, reminding them that it would have caught everything. The ED and EK both went silent for a moment before making a break for the exit. The manager took off after them, yelling at them to stop, and my coworker berated the employee for threatening me the way he did. Of course, the ED and EK got away, but the employee was fired, and I never went back to that store by myself per my friend's request. Please, teach your sons to respect women and don't harass women. Plenty of us are insecure about our bodies and don't want the attention our bodies attract, and we appreciate it if you don't make things worse for us. Also, never assume that a woman's body is fake or that you are entitled to touch it. This is just the start of toxic behavior being taught to children, and it needs to stop. It teaches young boys that it's okay to touch women as long as it's not sexual and tells women to just deal with it. Yeah, exactly. Like there are other ways he can get people's attention. My coworkers were like, oh, he'll grow out of it. It's fine, just let him touch you. No, dude, it's not appropriate for any age. He's a quirky kid, I get it, but he doesn't need to learn it's acceptable to grope breasts and asses. Like, play with my hair, hold my hand, rub my tummy, I don't care. Just don't touch bathing suit areas. End of story. Yes. And it's not even exclusive to a specific male-female body part or sexual orientation. If I tell someone I don't like my back touched, but I'm okay with my shoulder, they should respect that. We should be teaching kids that other people's bodies are their own, and they get to decide who gets to touch it and how. No matter if it's sexual or not.